Hey everyone, David here from the 5 and Dime Upcycled Furniture Antiques and Accents, and this is a quick tutorial on a cedar chest makeover. The cedar chest I named Hudson, after the Hudson Bay Company trading post blankets. So the first step is always going to be clean with white lightning to get rid of all the gunk and goop off it, give it a really good clean, and then of course you're going to come in and rinse it really well with water, and sometimes depending on how dirty the piece is, you may have to actually wash it twice. There was something really funky stuck to the top of this, so using some mineral spirits and a scraper, I brought that in and gave it a good wipe down, and then gave it another wash with white lightning as well to make sure I had an area that paint would adhere. Came in with my surf prep and gave it a good scuff sand everywhere to make sure that I had a surface that would be accepting paint really well, and it also helps to highlight if there's any other flaws in that. You want to get those smoothed out. So just give it a once over, then gave it a wipe with a lint-free cloth, a damp lint-free cloth to get rid of all the dust. And using a roller and a paintbrush, I came in and gave everything 2 coats of Dixie Belle's Boss in gray, which blocks odors, stops stains, and just amazing as far as coverage goes. And because I was going to be painting this white, I wanted to make sure I had a good base so that I didn't have bleed through issues and that it would take less paint for coverage. So this is just getting on the first coat, so let that dry for a couple of hours, then came back in and gave it a second coat. Once everything was dry, I just gave it a good quick inspection to find out how everything was looking, and found out that there was actually an adhesion issue with the actual veneer, and this will happen sometimes and you won't even notice it until it actually gets wet. So when I applied the primer, or the Boss, what it actually did is the moisture actually lifted it anywhere where there wasn't any glue holding it back in place. So time to come in for a fix. Came in with some sandpaper for those areas that had the raised or bubbling veneer. Gave it a sand back. That wasn't really working as well. So I came in with a box cutter or X-Acto blade and cut out the areas that were having that issue. So literally just came in, used that to pry off any of the loose bits to a point where I knew that there was good adhesion, and then came in with Dixie Belle mud to fill all the gaps. Once I scraped away the mess, I used Dixie Belle's mud in brown to fill in all of the dings and gouges and areas that had the adhesion issue with the veneer, and just came in, filled them in with a spatula or trowel, and waited for that to dry. Then gave it a sand and a good wipe, and any areas that I felt needed a little bit more coverage, just added more, and again did the same thing. Dixie Belle mud is a product that does require a top coat. It will move if you don't give it a top coat. So came in with 2 coats of Dixie Belle's top coat in flat to seal it before moving on to the next steps. After giving everything a final inspection and a wipe down with a damp lint-free cloth, I came back in and used Dixie Belle's cotton to start the base for this trunk. So again, this trunk is going to be a Hudson Bay inspired look. So it looks like they're trading post blankets. So white is the base color, cream, white. This is my interpretation, so that's how I want to do it. So again, I used cotton and came in with 2 coats of cotton to make sure I had a solid surface to start from. Now it's time to lay down the pattern and figure out where I'm going to place my stripes. And of course I fluffed this up 2 or 3 times before actually getting it down right. So a couple things are just to make sure that you do some really good measuring first to figure out where you want your stripes, where you want your placement. Just really think about the pattern. And once I got that down, laying the tape down was pretty simple. I actually came in with an artist brush and the base color, which is the cotton, and went over the seams to ensure I had crisp lines without any type of bleed through. Then it was a moment of truth to find out if my pattern was correct. I started with Tree Frog Green by Dixie Belle Paint Company, and then being careful not to push it underneath the tape, I worked in the same direction as how the tape is laid. Did do the protective coat, but we want to make sure that we're just take all the precautions. And then next came the Honky Tonk Red, and again following the exact same pattern, all set and ready to go, ready for our next color, Daisy. Somehow in my excitement I forgot to video the placement of putting Daisy down. So the side stripes were done so they go around the side, the front, and around the other side again. And that's only for the Daisy and for the custom blend that's going below. So the custom blend I'm using for the bottom color of the stripe is a combination of cobalt and caviar, and this gives a really nice indigo color. Navy wasn't the right color, cobalt wasn't the right color, so coming in with those two colors, giving it a good mix, and it was actually exactly what I needed for the color. And here we have the cobalt and caviar mixture done, and laying that color down as well. It was actually the perfect mix. Well, can't believe this, but somehow I also missed removing the tape, because to me that's one of the more satisfying parts. So here we go, the tape has been removed, and I'm just giving it a light sand all over, just to make sure if there's any raised ridges or anything like that, that we'll have a nice smooth finish before we actually start to spray. And this was an experience in its own. I have never sprayed before, so I'm going in here as an absolute amateur and completely muddled things up, but finally got through it and ended up with a pretty decent finish on it. Except for this one big blop that came out all at once out of the sprayer. So I just came in with the applicator sponge and smoothed everything out. And I'm getting better with the sprayer, so we'll see how that goes in future. And here's Hudson in all his finished glory. Pretty cool, huh? Have a great day, everyone. Ciao.